The girl was already out of air when the shovel struck stone. A dull thud echoed through the desert pit, followed by a sound that did not belong underground, a thin, broken gasp. It was weak. Almost imagined. But it stopped Eli Mercer cold, his hands tightening around the worn handle as the wind screamed over the dunes above him. Something was alive down there. The planet Curries 9 was not known for survivors. Its red wastelands swallowed ships, erased tracks, and stripped bones clean within days. Eli had come for salvage, nothing more. Old beacon signal. Easy credits. In and out. That was the plan. Plans changed when you heard someone begging for breath beneath 6 feet of packed alien sand. He dropped to his knees and dug. The soil was heavy, pressed flat by tools and ritual stones. This was no accident. Someone had buried something on purpose. Eli clawed through the sand, ignoring the burn in his lungs and the alarm chirping inside his helmet. His scanner screamed now, biosigns flickering dangerously low. Then he saw her. Blue skin, cracked and dry. A small chest barely moving. Strange symbols carved into the stone slab above her, glowing faintly as if disappointed she had not died yet. Her eyes fluttered beneath sealed lids, lips trembling in silent panic. "Hey," Eli breathed, ripping the slab aside. "I've got you. Stay with me." Her eyes flew open. They were not afraid at first. They were furious. She inhaled sharply, choking, fingers digging into his suit as if to pull herself out of death by force alone. Eli wrapped his arms around her, lifting her free as the sand collapsed inward. She was light. Too light. Bones sharp beneath skin. The storm sirens howled. Above them, black clouds rolled across the sky. Curries 9 was about to remind him why people didn't linger. Eli ran. His ship sat half-buried behind a rock ridge, engines whining as he slammed the ramp controls. Wind and sand battered his back as he crossed the threshold and sealed the hatch. The world outside vanished into metal and vibration. Only then did the girl stop struggling. She collapsed against him, trembling violently, her body convulsing as oxygen flooded systems that had already begun shutting down. Eli laid her on the med bench and ripped open emergency packs, flooding the air with warmth and moisture. She coughed once. Then spoke. The word was sharp. Commanding. Not a plea. He didn't understand it, but every translator chip he owned lit up at once, overloaded by the signal embedded in her voice. Eli froze. That was not normal. "Easy," he said quietly. "You're safe. You're not buried anymore." Her gaze snapped to him, eyes glowing brighter now, reflecting data patterns his ship AI struggled to parse. She scanned him the way soldiers scan threats, not rescuers. Her hand lifted weakly, fingers tracing a shape in the air. The symbols from the stone flashed across the walls. Warning lights exploded. "Ship, shut that down," Eli barked. "I cannot," the AI replied. Unknown authority override detected. The girl gasped, realizing what she had done. Panic flickered across her face, not fear for herself, but for him. She tried to speak again, voice hoarse, desperate, but the translation stuttered and failed. Then the ship's long-range sensors screamed. Eli turned. 3 contacts had just entered orbit. Military. Not human. He swore under his breath. The girl followed his gaze to the display, her shoulders slumping as if the fight had drained out of her all at once. Slowly, she reached up and touched the side of her neck. There was a mark there, burned deep into her skin. A symbol of judgment. "They found you," Eli muttered. "Didn't they?" She nodded once. That was all it took. Eli straightened, jaw tightening. He had seen slavers, hunters, corporate killers. This was different. This was organized. Ritualized. Whoever wanted her dead had power, and patience. "You're not cargo," he said firmly, even though she might not understand. "And you're not going back in the ground." The ship shook as a warning shot cracked the atmosphere nearby. A transmission cut through the static, cold, and precise. "Unregistered human vessel," the voice said. "You are harboring condemned matter. Surrender the subject. This does not concern your species." Eli laughed. It came out sharp and humorless. "Funny thing," he replied, activating manual controls. "The moment you buried someone alive, it became my concern." Silence. Then, softer. "Dangerous. You do not understand what you have uncovered." The girl sat up despite her weakness, eyes locked on the comm panel. She shook her head urgently, trying to warn him. Eli placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "I don't need to," he said. "I just need to choose." He slammed the engines to full burn. The ship screamed as it tore away from the planet's gravity well, alarms blaring, systems straining beyond safe limits. One of the alien ships moved to intercept. Too fast, too clean. Eli rerouted power, thinking not like a pilot, but like a human. He dumped raw energy into the ship's old shielding coils, letting them overload unevenly. The result was chaos. Sensors went blind. Tracking systems failed. The alien interceptor overshot, confused by a ship that refused to behave logically. Eli grinned through clenched teeth. "Yeah," he whispered. "Humans do that." Behind him, the girl stared, not at the battle, but at him. For the first time since being pulled from the grave, something changed in her expression. Hope. The jump drive charged. The alien voice returned, no longer calm. "You are making an irreversible error." Eli looked back at her, then at the stars stretching into lines. "Good," he said. "So am I." The ship vanished into hyperspace. Far above Curry's 9, the alien fleet adjusted course. The erased had survived. And humanity had just stepped into a war it was never meant to know existed. Hyperspace spat the ship out like a wounded animal. Eli barely kept it together as stars snapped back into place and the console filled with red warnings. The engine screamed, coughing heat and sparks. He killed the main drive and let the ship drift, momentum carrying them into the shadow of a dead moon. Silence followed. Heavy. Absolute. Only then did Eli realize his hands were shaking. He leaned back in the pilot's seat and exhaled slowly, forcing his breathing to steady. That had been too close. Those ships were not pirates or border patrol. They had moved with precision, like executioners who expected obedience. He turned. The alien girl sat strapped to the med bench, blanket wrapped tightly around her thin frame. Her eyes followed every movement he made, glowing faintly in the low light. She looked less like prey now and more like someone measuring a battlefield. "You still with me?" Eli asked. She nodded once. Then, hesitating, she placed a hand over her chest and spoke a single word, careful and slow. "Sarin." Eli blinked. "Your name?" Another nod. "All right, Sarin," he said gently. "I'm Eli." He tapped his chest. Then pointed to her. Understanding flickered. She copied the gesture, awkward but determined. The translator chimed softly. Language stabilized. Partial match found. Eli's eyebrows rose. "Well, I'll be damned." Sarin's shoulders slumped slightly, exhaustion finally winning. She sagged back against the bench, eyes closing for just a moment before snapping open again, as if sleep itself felt dangerous. Eli didn't push. He stood and moved toward the storage locker, pulling out ration bars and a heated nutrient pack. He set them within her reach, then backed away deliberately, showing his hands. "Food," he said. "Not a trick." She watched him for a long moment. Then she broke the bar in half, sniffed it, and took a cautious bite. Her expression didn't change, but her grip relaxed. Progress. Minutes passed. The ship drifted quietly, systems slowly stabilizing. Eli checked long-range sensors again and again. No pursuit. Not yet. Finally, Sarin spoke. "They will not stop." Her voice was weak but clear now, the translator smoothing the edges of her words. Eli sighed. "Yeah. I figured." She looked at him sharply. "You do not understand. The Valari Dominion does not allow witnesses." "That makes two of us," he replied. "I don't like being told who I can help." Sarin studied him as if he were a puzzle that refused to resolve. "You are human." Your species avoids conflict with the Dominion. Eli snorted. We avoid losing conflicts. Big difference. Her eyes narrowed. You know who we are. I know of you, Eli said. Empire. Order. Control. Lots of rules. Lots of weapons. Not much mercy. Her silence was answer enough. He leaned against the console. So let's hear it. Why bury you alive instead of shooting you? Saren's fingers tightened around the blanket. For a moment, Eli thought she wouldn't answer. Then she did. I questioned a number. Eli frowned. A number. A casualty figure, she said quietly. From a completed pacification campaign. The data did not match the official record. Eli's stomach tightened. He'd seen that before. Governments hated questions more than enemies. I recalculated, she continued. I ran independent models. I found emissions. Emissions, Eli echoed. Entire settlements, Saren said. Erased from record. Their deaths reclassified as atmospheric failure or migration loss. Eli clenched his jaw. They killed their own. Yes. And you caught it. Yes. He exhaled slowly. So instead of fixing the problem, they buried the proof. Saren met his eyes. They buried me. The ship hummed quietly around them. Outside, the dead moon reflected cold starlight, uncaring. Eli straightened. All right. So here's the situation. You're hunted. I'm human. And if I drop you off anywhere civilized, the Dominion will come knocking. They already will, she said. You are now compromised. Eli laughed once. Story of my life. She tilted her head. Why did you help me? He hesitated. Because I heard you, he said finally. And because I've been buried before. Not like that, but enough to know what it does to you. Saren looked away, processing that. After a moment, she spoke again. There is something else. Eli tensed. Of course there is. She reached toward her wrist, fingers brushing a faint scar hidden beneath her skin. The air shimmered. A projection flared to life between them, data streams, star maps, classified symbols. Eli's breath caught. This information cannot be erased, Saren said. Not completely. I embedded it, in myself. Eli stared. You're telling me you're walking evidence? Yes. And they buried you alive to make sure it stayed buried? Yes. Eli rubbed his face. You aliens are terrifyingly efficient. Saren's expression hardened. You have not seen efficiency yet. The ship sensors chirped softly. Eli turned back to the console. A new signal had appeared. Old. Human. A relay boy. Abandoned. Eli smiled slowly. Well, he said, looks like you picked the right grave to crawl out of. Saren frowned. What is that? A forgotten human listening post, Eli replied. Off the books. No one uses it anymore. Her eyes widened slightly. You can hide there. Hide, he said. Plan. And maybe send a message. To whom? Eli's smile was sharp now. Dangerous. To people who don't like empires deciding who gets erased. Saren studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. The ship altered course. Behind them, far beyond sensor range, Valari command vessels fanned out across the stars. The hunt had begun. And humanity was about to remember why curiosity was its most dangerous weapon. The listening post was older than most of the maps that still pretended to include it. Eli cut the engines long before they reached it, letting the ship drift on cold momentum. The structure emerged slowly from the darkness, a ring of dull metal wrapped around a dead asteroid, its surface scarred by micrometeor strikes and time. No lights. No signals. Just silence. Looks abandoned, Eli murmured. Saren stood beside him, thinner now without the blanket, but steadier. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the station. Abandoned does not mean empty. True, Eli said. But it does mean forgotten. Humans are very good at forgetting our own junk. He guided the ship into the old docking cradle. The clamps locked with a groan that echoed through the hull, as if the station itself was surprised to be used again. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. Emergency systems flickered to life, casting long shadows across the corridor. Dust floated in slow spirals. Eli stepped in first, weapon lowered but ready. Saren followed, her movements careful, precise. She watched everything: corners, ceilings, blind spots. "You move like a soldier," Eli noted. "I was trained as an analyst," she replied. "But the Dominion believes every citizen must be prepared to defend order." Eli snorted. "Figures." They reached the central hub. Old consoles ringed the room, most dead, a few glowing faintly. At the center stood a relay core, primitive by modern standards, but untouched. Eli's smile grew. "Oh yeah. This'll do." He powered it up. The system protested, fans whining, data crawling at ancient speeds. Eli worked fast, fingers flying across the keys, bypassing locks no one had updated in decades. Saren watched closely. "You are not authorized." "Nope," Eli said cheerfully. "Never stopped us before." She tilted her head. "You enjoy Defiance." "Only when it's earned." The screen flickered. A network map bloomed into view, not wide, not powerful, but stubborn. Human. A web of old contacts, freelancers, scientists, pilots, people who operated just outside official lanes. Eli began typing. "What message will you send?" Saren asked. He paused. "The truth." He compressed the data Saren carried, stripping identifiers, layering encryption that even Dominion systems would choke on. Casualty numbers. Altered records. Proof of erased colonies. Then he added one line. "If this data exists, so does the witness." He hit send. The relay hummed. Saren's breath caught. "They will come faster now." "Yeah," Eli said. "But now they won't come alone." The station lights dimmed suddenly. Eli froze. "That's not good." Saren's eyes snapped to the far wall. "They have found us." "No," Eli said slowly. "Not them." A new signal appeared on the screen. Human. Military-grade encryption, but outdated. Eli frowned. "That's weird." The station speakers crackled. "Unidentified vessel," a voice said. "Female. Calm. You are trespassing on restricted infrastructure." Eli raised his hands instinctively. "Easy there. This place has been abandoned for 32 years, the voice cut in. "That does not mean unmonitored." A figure stepped into the light at the far end of the hub. Human. Armor worn but maintained. Weapon lowered, but not by much. Saren stiffened instantly. Eli swallowed. "Ah. Hi." The woman studied them both, gaze lingering on Saren's alien features. Her expression didn't change, but her stance did. "Explain," she said. Eli took a breath. "Short version. We're running from an empire that buries people alive." The woman's jaw tightened. "Long version." They talked. Not fast. Not slow. Eli told the story cleanly, without drama. Discovery. Rescue. Pursuit. Data. The message he had sent. When he finished, the woman was silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "Name's Commander Hale. This station isn't abandoned. It's mothballed. Emergency use only." Eli nodded. "Lucky us." Hale looked at Saren. "You're the proof." Saren met her gaze. "I am what they tried to erase." Hale exhaled slowly. "You realize what happens next?" "Yeah," Eli said. "You call this in." "I already did." Eli stiffened. "You said emergency use only." "This qualifies," Hale replied. So does genocide. The station trembled faintly. Saren's eyes widened. They are close. Hale nodded. Valari Scout Wing entered the system 10 minutes ago. Eli cursed. That was fast. They traced the relay pulse, Hale said. Smart. Arrogant, Saren corrected. They believe no one will resist. Hale's lips curved slightly. They haven't met us. She turned to a console and activated a holographic map. Human ships appeared, small, scattered, civilian and military mixed together. This network you pinged. Hale said. It's bigger than you think. People listening. People waiting for a reason. And now they have won, Eli said. The station shook again, harder. Alarms blared. Incoming, Hale snapped. Multiple signatures. Valari ships dropped out of hyperspace like blades. Sleek. Silent. Deadly. Saren stepped forward. They will demand my surrender. Hale looked at her. And if I say no? Then they will kill everyone here. Silence fell. Eli moved first. He stepped between Saren and the projection of the enemy fleet. Then they'll have to work for it. Saren stared at him. You cannot win. Eli smiled, tired but unafraid. Humans don't win by being stronger. We win by being annoying. Hale barked a short laugh. I like him. She opened a channel. This is Commander Hale of the Human Independent Fleet, she said. You are violating no recognized border, but you are threatening protected civilians. The Valari response was instant. Surrender the condemned, the alien voice intoned. This matter is internal. Hale's eyes hardened. Funny thing about internal matters. Once you drag them into space and start burying people alive, they become everyone's business. Saren felt something shift inside her. For the first time, the truth was not alone. The first shot came without warning. Human defenses flared to life. Eli grabbed the console, rerouting power, improvising shields from systems never meant to talk to each other. The station shook violently. Outside, stars burned with weapons fire. And across the void, the Valari learned something they had forgotten long ago. Humanity did not need permission to care. The first impact rattled the station like a struck bell. Metal screamed. Old supports groaned, protesting forces they were never designed to endure. Warning lights flooded the corridors in harsh red pulses as the Valari fleet opened fire with surgical precision, slicing at power nodes and communication arrays. They're not trying to destroy us, Eli shouted over the alarms. They're cutting us open. Hale's fingers flew across the tactical console. They want the girl alive. Everything else is acceptable loss. Saren stood rigid, hands clenched at her sides. This is how they operate. Pressure. Fear. Isolation. Not today, Hale said flatly. She keyed an override. Across the hologram, human ships shifted formation, not into a tight defensive wall, but something messy. Uneven. Wrong. Saren blinked. That formation makes no sense. Eli grinned. Exactly. Valari targeting systems recalculated, struggling to predict vectors that refused to stabilize. Human ships darted, cut engines mid-burn, dumped heat, reignited at odd angles. No two vessels behaved the same way. Controlled chaos. The Valari fired anyway. Beams tore through space, vaporizing one small freighter on the edge of the formation. The explosion flared bright, then vanished. Saren flinched. Hale didn't look away. They knew the risk. Eli's jaw tightened. Humans don't like bullies. But we really hate executioners. The station lurched again. A section of hull tore open, atmosphere venting into space with a deafening roar. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut just in time. Saren staggered. Eli caught her without thinking. Her eyes met his. They will escalate. Good, Eli said. So will we. Hale turned. Mercer. I need you in the relay room. Eli nodded and moved, Saren following despite his instinct to stop her. The relay core pulsed weakly, ancient but stubborn. Eli slammed a power coupler into place, feeding it energy straight from the station's reserves. "What are you doing?" Saren asked. "Making noise," he replied. He opened every channel. Every frequency. Civilian. Military. Trade. Scientific. And he spoke. "This is Eli Mercer," he said, voice steady despite the chaos. "If you're hearing this, know this. An empire is hunting a woman because she told the truth. They buried her alive to erase evidence. We refused to let them." He paused, letting the message travel. "They think fear keeps the universe quiet. They're wrong." Data surged outward. Proof followed. Names. Numbers. Faces of erased colonies reconstructed from fragments. Saren watched the screens fill with confirmation pings. Responses. Signals lighting up from systems far beyond Valari reach. "They cannot stop it now," she whispered. "No," Eli said. "They can only react." The Valari reacted with fury. Their flagship-powered weapons Saren had only seen in classified simulations. Space itself bent as the field charged. Hale's voice crackled over comms. "They're going to fire. All ships, brace." Saren stepped forward. "If that weapon discharges, the station will not survive." Eli looked at her. "Any ideas?" She hesitated, then reached for the scar on her wrist. Pain flickered across her face as she activated something buried deep within her biology. "I am not only evidence," she said. "I am a key." The air shimmered. Dominion command codes unfolded in three-dimensional light, ancient, absolute. Eli stared. "You never told them you still had access." "I never told anyone," Saren replied. "Including myself, until now." She interfaced with the Valari weapon systems through channels they believed extinct. Commands rippled through the fleet. Outside, the flagship's weapon sputtered. Confusion spread. Valari ships hesitated. For the first time, their formation broke, not from chaos, but doubt. Hale didn't waste the moment. "All units, push." Human ships surged forward, weapons blazing, not to destroy, but to disable. Targeting engines. Sensors. Communication spines. Eli watched the battle unfold, heart pounding. "You're burning yourself out," he said to Saren. "Whatever you're doing, it's killing you." She swayed but remained standing. "If I fall, it will be worth it." Eli grabbed her shoulders. "No. You don't get erased. Not now. Not ever." Something changed in her expression. The Valari flagship transmitted one final message, strained, furious. "You are an anomaly," the voice hissed. "Human interference will be corrected." Eli leaned into the MAC funny. "We were about to say the same thing." The flagship's power core went dark. Silence fell across the battlefield. One by one, Valari ships disengaged, retreating into hyperspace, not defeated, but exposed. The station drifted, battered but alive. Saren collapsed. Eli caught her before she hit the deck. Hale approached slowly. "She did that." Eli nodded. "Yeah." Hale exhaled. Then the galaxy just changed. Saren's eyes fluttered open. "Weak. But alive. They will return," she whispered. Eli smiled, tired and fierce. "Then next time, we'll be ready." Outside, human ships regrouped, not as a fleet, but as a promise. The truth was loose now. And humanity had chosen its side. Saren woke to the sound of human voices arguing. Not shouting. Not panicking. Arguing the way people did when they believed tomorrow still existed. Light filtered through the station's repaired ceiling panels, softer now, warmer. Her body felt heavy, every nerve humming with exhaustion, but she was alive. Still here. Not erased. She turned her head slightly. Eli sat nearby on a crate, boots planted on the floor, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. There was dried blood on his knuckles that wasn't his. Across from him, Commander Hale stood over a console, reading incoming data streams that kept multiplying faster than the screen could handle. "You're trending," Eli muttered. Hale snorted. "That's one way to put it." Saren pushed herself upright. Eli noticed instantly and moved to her side. "Easy," he said. "You scared us." "I failed," Saren whispered. Her voice was rough. "They escaped." Hale turned, expression serious but calm. "No. They were exposed." Saren frowned. "The Dominion survives exposure." "Maybe," Hale said. "But they don't survive attention." She brought up a projection and expanded it across the room. Human colonies. Trade hubs. Research stations. Even a few alien systems Saren recognized as neutral. All lit with signals. Requests. Demands. Eli's eyes widened. "That many?" "More," Hale replied. "Some haven't even stopped broadcasting yet." Saren stared. "They believe the data." "They verified it," Hale said. "Humans are very particular about proof. And very bad at looking away once they see it." Saren felt something tighten in her chest. "The erased colonies, they are being mourned." "Yes," Hale said simply. Saren closed her eyes. For the first time since the judgment, her name existed somewhere outside her own mind. Eli leaned back, exhaling. "So what happens now?" Hale folded her arms. "Now the Dominion responds. Politically first. Then economically. Then, if they're desperate. Militarily," Saren finished. Hale nodded. "And they are very desperate." Saren looked at Eli. "You should leave." He blinked. "Excuse me." "They will target you," she said. "Your name is attached to the first relay. You are human. Civilian. Expendable." Eli laughed softly. "You really don't understand humans, do you?" She tilted her head. "Explain." "When someone tries to erase a person," he said, "we don't run. We write their name everywhere." Hale stepped closer. "She's right about one thing. You're a symbol now." Eli shrugged. "Always wanted to be something." Saren studied him. This human who had dug her out of the grave with bare hands and stubborn instinct. Who had never once asked what helping her would cost. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why choose this?" Eli thought for a moment. "Because your people think order matters more than life," he said. "And ours learned the hard way that order without empathy is just a cleaner kind of cruelty." Hale's console chimed again. "Incoming transmission," she said. "Dominion channel. Open broadcast." Saren stiffened. The image flickered to life. A Valari representative appeared. Tall, flawless, controlled. But something was different now. The calm was forced. "Human factions," the voice said. "You are interfering in sovereign matters." Hale stepped forward. "You buried a civilian alive." She was condemned. For asking a question, Eli cut in. The Valari's eyes narrowed. "Curiosity is destabilizing." Eli smiled. "So is lying." Saren moved into view. The Valari representative froze. "You failed," she said clearly. "I exist." The silence that followed rippled across every open channel. Saren continued, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "You taught me that order is everything. That truth must serve stability. You were wrong." The Valari straightened. "You are nothing without the Dominion." Saren lifted her chin. "Then why are you afraid of one erased woman speaking?" The feed cut. Hale let out a slow breath. That was a mistake on their part. Eli nodded. "Yeah. Humans are great at turning mistakes into movements." Days passed. Then weeks. The Dominion tried sanctions. Failed. Tried denials. Failed. Tried threats. Humanity responded with something the Valari had never learned to model. Solidarity. Independent fleets formed. Human scientists cracked Dominion encryption methods and released them openly. Artists painted the erased colonies. Children learned their names. Traders refused Valari ports. Neutral species began asking their own questions. The Dominion did not fall. But it cracked. Saren stood on the observation deck of a human station months later, watching ships come and go. She wore no markings now. No scars hidden. Her name was public. Her story taught in places she would never visit. Eli joined her, handing her a cup of something warm. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes," she said after a moment. "I am becoming." He smiled. "Takes time. Humans are good at that part." She looked at the stars. "They will try again. Empires always do." Eli leaned on the railing beside her. "Then we'll answer again." She turned to him. "Together." He met her gaze. "Yeah," he said. "That's kind of our thing." Somewhere far away, an empire adjusted its models. And for the first time, it had no answer for a species that refused to let anyone be buried in silence again.